Let's get more analysis on this with Hatem Bazian, a professor of Middle Eastern cultures and languages at UC Berkeley, and he's joining us from Granada in Spain. Professor, always good to speak to you. When we see what's been unfolding in Israel today at that top court, what does it tell us about the state of play when it comes to Israeli domestic politics? Because it really does seem very divided right now.
Well, thank you for having me. I do think that we are witnessing the fragmentation of the Israeli body politic. It has been going on for some time, but since the events of October 7th, the investigation, the total failure of Prime Minister Netanyahu's war plan and his cabinet, this have come to the front, and the fact of the renewal of the campaign on Gaza with still hostages and the negotiations that have not commenced brings this fragmentation to the fore. And I think it's being played out with the Shin Bet. The dismissal of the head of the Shin Bet is symptomatic of this fragmentation, where Netanyahu wants to keep a total hold on his government at a time where the Israeli street, is already protesting the families of the hostages that are demanding the commencing of an agreement. So we're seeing a weakened prime minister that is attempting to hold on power by using all the levers at his disposal at a time of greater crisis.
You describe him as a weakened prime minister, but is he trying to show strength by restarting the conflict in Gaza, which now almost seems to be worse than before the ceasefire? There's no aid getting through. Every day those numbers are going up, and it certainly does feel, from those of us who've been reporting on it for 18 months, that it's worse now than ever before.
You are correct to say that the war is worse than before, but the fact that he is able to launch the war has to be understood in relations to the continuation of his government. He had to get back both Smotrich and Ben Gvir to pass the budget. And that's a sign of a prime minister is attempting to hold on his power and as such accepting the requirement that were put for him to continue to the war on Gaza, regardless of the fact that there is hostages or the prisoner exchange plan. The other part is that we need to recognize that his visit to the White House and his meeting with Trump, I think that Netanyahu came back totally empty-handed. And if anything, it shows his weakness even at a time where we might think that Trump is giving Netanyahu or Israel everything it wants. But Netanyahu came back totally empty-handed. And we saw earlier the coverage about the commencing of negotiations with Iran. That's a complete slap to Netanyahu, where the negotiations are going to be opened up in Oman with the United States and Iran, negotiating for a possible deal that might not be to the liking of Netanyahu, who was hoping that the United States will come with Trump in a almost a bellicose type of approach and launch an attack on Iran. That seems to be, as we speak, off the table.
Professor, when you say that Netanyahu came back empty-handed, he's of course not happy about negotiations with Iran, but what else would he have wanted from those discussions with Donald Trump? Because Trump still seems to be adamant about his plan to move Gazans out of their land to another place, wherever they can find really a country that's willing to take them.
Well, I think that's Trump speaking about his desire for his plan and so on. But that should not confuse us of Netanyahu not getting what he wants. He wanted the delay or suspension of the tariffs, 17% tariffs on Israel. He did not get this. He wanted a far more stronger position on Iran. He did not get this. Maybe the negotiations around Gaza, that's where the tension, the fact that the United States is saying that they are, or at least Trump, that he wants to take over Gaza, he wants to send U.S. peace troops in there, is also a not is not Netanyahu's position, and definitely is not the settler positions or Netanyahu's right-wing government. It is going to be still difficult on the Palestinians, but we should not actually confuse the fact that difficulty for Palestinians versus whether Netanyahu is getting all the leverage that he wants from Trump. Lastly, I think also Trump said that Turkey's role in Syria, as compared to Israel's role in Syria, that he's basically asking the Israelis to let Turkey or actually be less confrontational with Turkey. And he actually praised the Turkish role that was played in Syria, saying the statement of that Erdogan has been able to secure a footprint in Syria that hasn't occurred in 2,000 years, which means that he sees Israel in a weakened position in Syria and wants for them to concede that Syria is part of the sphere of influence of Turkey. So on that point as well, we see that Netanyahu came back empty-handed despite the smiles that we see in the White House.
Professor Hatem Bazian, thank you so much for giving us your analysis. Thank you so much.